So with the championship season concluding, I have to give a huge congratulations to Ipswich Town. It's back-to-back promotions for Kieran McKenna's side, and dare I say it, I think this is one of the greatest achievements in championship history. We'll delve a bit deeper into Ipswich this season, how this has gone ahead and happened, my expectations for them at the start of the season, and just how much they've been able to surpass that. But you know what? Speaking from a personal standpoint, I've been covering the championship on this channel for a good few years now. I think this season right here will go down as one of my favourites that I've ever reported on, and it's largely thanks to the success story that has been Ipswich Town this season. It's been so fun to watch from a neutral's perspective. Obviously, they were given a great run for their money by the parachute teams. Obviously, big congratulations goes to Leicester City as well for winning the championship. They wrapped up the title in front of my very own eyes at Deepdale. Leeds and Southampton were always going to be very strong this season, and despite both accumulating a really high points tally that in a lot of seasons would have got them both automatic promotion, Ipswich Town had other ideas this time around, and I'm genuinely flabbergasted at how consistent they've been able to be this season. Now, back-to-back promotions from League One and the Championship certainly isn't unheard of. It has happened a few times in years gone by, but I'll point you towards the last two examples as a comparison point and why I think this season for Ipswich has been so unique. So the last two teams that achieved back-to-back promotions, being promoted from League One, then being promoted from the Championship in consecutive years, was Norwich in 2011 and Southampton in 2012, both teams doing amazingly to achieve this feat. But when you look at the teams that they were battling against and the points they actually accumulated to achieve back-to-back promotions, I just think this Ipswich one is perhaps that one step ahead of them. And that's certainly not to discredit Norwich or Southampton and their unbelievable back-to-back promotion seasons, because they were incredible in their own right. But when Norwich were promoted in 2011, they accumulated 84 points and lost 8 matches that season. Southampton, when they did back-to-back promotions, accumulated 88 points and lost 10 games that season. Whereas this Ipswich Town squad have accumulated over 90 points and have only lost 6 matches throughout the entire season. That sort of consistency in a league as gruelling as the Championship, and a league which has been at an all-time high in terms of quality at the top end of the league, I'd say, it's absolutely remarkable. Now, there's no doubt that last season in League One, Ipswich were a big fish in a small pond. They were one of the most fancied sides for promotion. They'd finally got their act together, a manager like Kieran McKenna who seemed to have a philosophy in place, and let's face it, a squad which probably was too good for League One at the time, some of the individual quality that they had in that team. But the way they've been able to ride that crest of a wave, that momentum into the Championship, and let's not forget, they've not really added a whole lot to their squad in either the summer or January window. Yes, they've supplemented it with a few quality players here and there, but generally speaking, this is the same core of players that was playing in League One last season that's achieved automatic promotion to the Premier League this time around. Taking a closer look at their transfer business from both the summer and the January window, this is what Ipswich Town have done this season. You can see there are only really 3 transfers that they've pushed the boat out and spent over £1 million on. Jack Taylor from Peterborough, who has been good when featured but not been a regular starter for them this season by any means. That midfield duo of Morsey and Luongo has just been too good to break up this season. Judge Hurst obviously came in on a permanent basis from Leicester, but he missed a chunk of the season through injury. Then you've got Ali Al-Hamadi, who I have liked the look of, but he only arrived in January and has sort of been a squad player since that point. So the key players that contributed to this season for Ipswich were those same guys that were in League One last season. I just think that that makes this promotion season that little bit more sweeter. Of course, the club has been very clever in the way they've gone about and played the loan market. The pickup of Amari Hutchinson was a bit of a masterstroke from the Tractor Boys. I think he's really come into his own in the second half of the season. Picking Kiefer Moore up in January, another great deal for them as well. But none of these transfers were players that particularly broke the bank. And if you compare Ipswich's wage bill with the sides they've been going toe-to-toe with this season, in the likes of Leicester, Leeds and Southampton, it's night and day. Kieran McKenna has only had 2 full seasons as a first team coach, and he's been able to achieve promotions in both of them. I think had Ipswich not been promoted this season, there was a very high possibility that he probably would have been poached away from Portman Road in the summer by a Premier League club. I think his stock has risen that rapidly over these last 18 or so months, but the fact that Ipswich are over the line and they're going to be playing Premier League football next season, I think he'll be fully bought into the project. I couldn't be more excited to see them in the top flight. Now, before a ball had been kicked in this championship season, I personally had Ipswich predicted to finish 9th, which I thought would have been a reasonable season for Kieran McKenna's side, especially considering they were newly promoted to the Championship. They were fancied by quite a few people, to be fair, to make the top 6, but a season of over 90 points, fending off the likes of Leeds and Southampton, I'm not sure many people saw that coming. Comparing Ipswich's wage bill with the sides they've been up against this season also paints a picture of the miraculous job they've actually gone ahead and done. Now, these wage estimations do need to be taken with a pinch of salt. They're by no means 100% accurate, but they paint an interesting picture nonetheless. Using data from Capology at the start of the season, this was the breakdown of all the Championship clubs and how much they were paying out annually in wages. And as you can see here, Ipswich Town at the start of the season, all the way down in 16th place on that ranking, well behind the parachute teams who are all above 39 million for their annual wage bill, which is crazy when compared to the rest of the Championship. I do think we are living in a time, for better or worse, where the gap between the teams in the Premier League and the Championship is continuing to widen, and those parachute teams that do get dropped down, generally speaking, are the favourites. And I think, you know, more often than not, over these next 10 or so years, I think we will end up in a situation where the 3 that are relegated from the Premier League automatically become the 3 top clubs in the Championship. We were very close to that happening this season as well, but the fact that Ipswich have been able to upset the apple cart, I think that shows the strength of the EFL in general still. And ultimately, these success stories, I think, are what Championship fans live for. Yes, of course, Ipswich are by no means these Championship minnows who, you know, we're never going to be anywhere around the top 6. I think everyone fancied them to be strong this year, but the way they've gone about it has been absolutely fantastic. I'd also piggyback on that by saying Ipswich have probably been, dare I say, the most entertaining side to watch in the league this season. I'd probably put Leeds up there as well, watching Daniel Farke's men at their best. I think they often get me up and out of my seat, but the amount of dramatic games that Ipswich have been involved in this season, where they're just like basketball matches back and forth, the amount of goals they've scored, the amount of goals they've conceded at times, the last minute winners, all of that adds to the narrative of just how fun they've been. And while I am absolutely buzzing for that fan base, can't wait to see them in the Premier League next season, a part of me is a little bit sad that we're losing them from the Championship already, because they have been so much fun this season. You know, whenever Ipswich would be on Sky this season, I'd absolutely always put on that match because I'd always know I was in for an entertaining 90 minutes. Portman Road has been a fortress for them this season. A massive shout out has to go to those players for making that step up from League One to the Championship, which isn't always easy, as seen by Sheffield Wednesday and Plymouth this season, who obviously have been engulfed in that relegation battle. I honestly believe that the sky is the limit for that football club, and whatever the future may hold, you know, next season in the Premier League, whether that will be possibly a relegation coming back down to the Championship, financially they'll be even stronger for that year in the Prem. But with the model that club's got in place, I wouldn't be completely surprised to see them not only surviving but thriving in the Premier League. Ipswich Town fans, you must be absolutely buzzing right now. I want to hear from you in the comments down below, and any rival fans as well. I'd be interested to get some thoughts from Leicester, Leeds and Southampton fans in particular, and what you've made of Ipswich this season.